What would you say? Is there something that you would say like pushes you to keep going through those challenges? Because that's
what I learned business year 3 and 4 was that when I look back, every single time I had those challenges, it pushed me into the direction I was actually supposed to go.
How did you get to Youthfluence 360? Like, where is there an experience that you would say you're most grateful for? Like, here we go. Salutations, good people. Welcome to the Pancakes from Scratch podcast. My name is Ernest Coleman III. I love bringing people together, doing good things, good people doing good things. And today is no exception to the rule. I got my big homie, the one and only Dario Otero. What's going on with you, brother?
What's going on, brother? I'm excited to be here.
Glad to hear it, man. Glad to hear it, man. I'm glad we were able to pull some time together. I know you got a lot of things going on, man. So, I appreciate you making space, bro.
Definitely, man. It's been a wild week as we head into the holidays, and especially in business, man. People like you're having parties, before the holidays, and then people are shutting down business to I feel like, especially here where we are in the Twin Cities, they stopped doing business, from December to end of January. So,
yeah, man, they go like that. Listen, you can't find me. I'm not outside right now.
Right.
I get it. I get it, man. So before we dive too deep into it, I like to start with just shed some light, man, on what's bringing you energy this week.
Oh, man, I think what always brings me energy around this time is family. And just the connection back to family. So, you go through the Thanksgiving holidays and you get reconnected with family, and then you go into the holidays and, it's hard for a lot of people, man. And if you don't have a lot of family, if you don't have a lot of support, so extending that family support is also a thing that I'm into, right? Like making sure if I know somebody doesn't have a lot of family, pulling them in, right? Because family's just not the bloodline. Family is, everybody. Check on your people, making sure people are cool. December could be hard for a lot of people. So bringing me energy is really just checking in on people and people checking in on me.
Yeah, that's it, man. I love it. It's super important, especially in the Twin Cities, man. It feels like that seasonal depression hits a lot of people.
Man.
So
you gotta take the vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin D. You gotta, man, because it's like a gray cloud over you for 2 months. So, we need our melanin energy, we need some sun around here.
Yeah, man. The sun lamps, everything, the meditation. Listen, whatever you got to do, you got to take care of yourself. And if, spending time with family and bringing people together is something that brings you energy, that's a beautiful thing, man. Definitely lean into that.
Hey, man, you got one up on me, though. What is it? You said a sun lamp?
A sun lamp. Oh, you ain't know about the sun lamp?
I don't know nothing about it. I was like, hold on, what did he say? A sun lamp?
Bro. Oh, listen.
You gotta put me on with that one, man.
Listen, Google that, bro.
I am. I'm about to do it now, yo.
You're going to make me get an affiliate deal. I'm going to have to hit up Amazon and see what's coming. Because, the sun lamps go. But it's really just about, the energy that comes from getting sunlight is just not accessible for a while in the Twin Cities. But they make the lamps that have the UV rays or whatever. I don't know the science behind it.
I'm going to check that out. That's what's up.
All right. It's a real thing, man. It's a real thing. But cool. So let's dig into it, man. I know that, besides being an exemplary father, you're somebody who has been doing this thing in the community for quite a while, man. And just being engaged, connecting with youth in a lot of different ways and a lot of different places. So first of all, big shout out to you for just leaning into that work for as long as you have, as well as you have, because it's definitely needed in the communities that we serve.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. But I know it's not easy work, right? And so I'm super curious about, what are some of the challenges that you've had to face? And maybe it's not necessarily directly associated with that, but what would you say is some of the biggest challenges you've had that stand out as something that helped to like shape who you've become?
Yeah, I would say, right out the gate, I'm kind of in two different worlds with my business, right? We're a for-profit company, and a lot of people see us as a nonprofit because we're doing this social impact work, to giving back to the community and linking in with youth. But I've always really just believed that if I'm going to be a good for-profit company, I should be looking at my pipeline of talent and the young people that are coming up and figuring out how to tap into some of that creativity. And so, yes, a lot of love is around here. We're doing a lot of mentoring. I'm also proving the fact that the young people that are working with us bring a ton of value to the table, and they get compensated for that, because there's a lot of people that walk by young people at a bus stop or whatever, see them with the headphones on. They're not seeing the creativity, the talent that they have, the ingenuity that they have, the hustle and drive, right? Certain elements that they just have that are intrinsic just based off of like wherever they, how they were raised, situations they've been through. I just happen to see it. So my company has to front face to other companies as a video production company that's going to get you your product back. You're going to be able to see that your product's going to be high level. And so we got to have that. We got to protect our brand on that side. But the work that we're doing, though, is saying these are the best young people that can actually bring that to the table, right? And people just don't see that. So then they look at us and they say, oh, well, you guys are a really good nonprofit. And I'm like, no, Minnesota is the land of 10,000 nonprofits. So I see why you think that. But, I just, I'm really intentional about changing the narrative and really helping people to understand that you can be a for-profit company and still get back to your community, because really all you're doing is connecting the opportunity, right? So I connect young people with opportunities, high-end technology, and, a place of love that they could come and feel like they belong. So that's one of my challenges, is like how we give that narrative back, right? When we're doing work with like corporate entities or people that they don't understand that. Another one is just our internal struggles sometimes are based around financial literacy and our understanding of how money moves within our community. And so I remember when we first started, our biggest challenge was we get money, and how do I give this money to the young people that are doing the work that they're doing when they've had so many struggles with understanding around financial literacy stuff, basic stuff like, might not have a checking account, right? So you pay me on Cash App. Well, that's not setting you up for life, right? And even before Cash App, it was what was it? The check casher stores, right? So I'll write a check out, they'll take it to the check cashing store. Now I get a phone call asking me if I'm a real company, right? Like, I have so-and-so here, they have a check. I just want to verify that this is a real company. I'm like, you know what I mean? So those things plague our community, and there's not a lot of knowledge and resource to understand. And it's just not a healthy relationship, right? For so many reasons around predatory lending, around how young people feel when they walk into a bank, how previous relatives have been treated and what they pass down around getting a credit card, getting your bank account set up. Like, there's a lot of negativity. So when we're trying to do business, that becomes a challenge sometimes in regards to how do we do money flow through our company. So that's one of the challenges we've had to tackle. And just, I think one of the main thing is just we want to be seen as like a company that is battling with any other company out there that's doing what we're doing, right? Yeah. We don't, we are Black owned, right? Black, Latino, whatever. We are majority company of color, right? All the young people, most of them are Black, Latino, whatever. But we don't want to lead with that, right? Like, we still want to lead with like, no, we're this company that's going to deliver on what we say we're going to deliver on. And so sometimes there's that challenge of like, we don't want to get the handout contract. We want to really know that you want our services and we can provide that. So those are some of the things that, we're challenged with, and they're good challenges, and we just been able to navigate it, pretty good.
What would you say? Is there something that you would say like, pushes you to keep going through those challenges? Because that's a lot, man. It's a lot just to be dealing with youth is a lot. Period. Like, what's the thing that's driving you through it?
Man, I tell you what, I like year 1 and 2 in business, man, shed a lot of tears, right? Because it's like you're going through stuff. You're like, man, why is this not making sense? Why is this happening? You know, even when it comes down to contracts, right? It's like I got the contract with the state. I did everything they said. Now they want this certain type of insurance. I got to go out and get this certain type of thing. Oh, somebody at the front desk doesn't even want to hand my paperwork in on time. So now I'm waiting for my check and I find out 30 days later that nothing's even been submitted because somebody didn't want to hand it in. And so, you know, and you start to go down those journeys of cash flow. And I remember I used to take it and I used to be so negative about it. I'd be like complaining, man, why is this happening? Why is this happening? What I learned business year 3 and 4 was that when I look back, every single time I had those challenges, it pushed me into the direction I was actually supposed to go, right? Like maybe we don't do these type of contracts no more. Maybe we don't deal with this type of stuff. Maybe I don't need, you know, so like as I was going through those challenges year 1 and 2, 3 and 4, I was able to look back and say, those challenges drove me to be where I am right now. So I don't accept that type of a contract anymore. And guess what happened? Now we have better situations. We have better relationships with people. So I think a lot of times, and now being in year 5 and 6, I think a lot of times it's like it's hard to understand what's going to happen in the future and like forecast that. But one thing I've taken that helps me get through this journey is just knowing that all the bad things are still going to drive me to the right things. So today, right now, year 6, I'm like, bring it on. Like, bring me all the negative. Tell me no. Bring me all the stuff that, okay, it's a challenge. Cool. Now I'm excited because I know I'm going to navigate myself into somewhere where I should be. So I just take a different approach to it now, you know?
Yeah, man. That's powerful, bro. All the bad things lead to the good things. I think that's something for a lot of people. It's a hard lesson to learn. And, you know, maybe it's one of those things that just takes time to process and realize. Like you said, you know, years 1 and 2, you in it. And it's like, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna beat you down a little bit. But once you get some time away from it.
Yeah, you just have to go through it, man. And I know people say it sounds cliche, like trust the process, right? But truly trust the process, because it's like a relationship. Who you are 5 years before, that's not who you're going to be 5 years later, right? So I heard somebody say, like, if you go into it thinking like, oh, we're perfectly compatible right now, well, look out, because if that's all your basic relationship offer, 5, 10 years, wait, we had kids, we're not compatible no more. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I know you sleep, but you act like I got to be up and change the diapers, but I know you awake though, you know what I'm saying? But you just act like you sleep, so I got to change the diapers. Like, in business, it's the same thing, right? It's like you learn those things like, yeah, this is where we are now, but you better constantly be just like looking to the future and looking for what everything is telling you. And for me, it's God, right? Like I just follow love, you know, compassion, those things, and make sure I'm keeping those centered. And then I'm cool. Like everything else will fall in place.
That's dope, man. That's dope. So like, how did you get to Youthfluence 360? Like how did you come up with, first of all, the idea that this would be a business instead of a nonprofit? Because like, obviously the impact is there, but like, how did you get to this place?
Man, so back when I was younger, you know, we did the typical thing in like 18, 19, we started a record label, right? Like everybody had a record label. Man, you know, that's just what it was, right? Like, so me and like 5 of my guys, we started this record label. We went around, we just knew we was going to make it. I couldn't rap, you know, I couldn't make beats. I couldn't do any of that. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to be the cameraman, right? So everywhere we go, I'm just going to film that and I'm going to make the music videos and stuff. It was funny because, you know, I laugh a lot. My mom always was like, you wasted so much time with that record label. I'm like, no, I learned so much though, because I got to practice business, right? Like I often tell people, like, if you want to learn business, like start a lemonade stand, right? Like that's the core fundamentals of starting a business, right? And then everything that you add on beyond that, that becomes how you learn business, right? So am I going to have the coldest lemonade? Am I going to have flavor lemonade? Am I have a Bluetooth stand at my lemonade? You know, whatever. And so that record label was our lemonade stand, right? and I got to learn so much. I got to fail so much, right? And so I remember being like, we spun off for a while and started doing like club promotion videos, right? So we got full access to all the clubs, so we could just walk in because we were the video guys. And then I remember we started a DVD that was like making fun of people and stuff. And so everybody was like, man, y'all got a funny DVD, man. Y'all those guys. And so like we had so much access to people because of what we were doing with this camera and beyond just this record label. And then eventually, you know, man, life happens. And like my son, I found out I was going to have a son. And I knew I had to change it up because like I couldn't be like in and out of nightclubs all the time and doing all this. And so I had this opportunity to work at a school here in the Twin Cities. So I left where I was living and I moved here. It was 13 years ago. And I started basically from the beginning, right? I was a paraprofessional, but this school was High School for Recording Arts. It was located off of Lexington University now. And it had a recording studio in it. And those recording studios were dope, but they didn't have video. And I was like, okay, well, you got 5 million people coming here talking about they want to do music, but are they tapping into this? It's the same thing, right? It's my record label. Are they tapping into this? How are they going to share it with the world, right? You got YouTube starting up. I think at the time you had like, you know, MySpace was finally allowed to load videos up. I mean, there was all sorts of stuff that was going on. And I'm like, you know, if you're not telling your story, if you're not being able to record this, people are losing out on a major core element. I felt like the videographer at that time is turning into the DJ. You can't get your stuff played if you can't put it out as a visual. And so I started teaching that skill. I started building up the video program there. And what ended up happening was bigger corporations like United Way and State Farm and all these people started coming to us to produce videos around youth, youth issues like the dropout rate or mental health, right? And so we were like producing these videos and they would give us feedback and be like, our video department here at our corporate place is not producing the same quality level videos as you. You guys are right in line with that, right? And so I saw that it was like the light bulb turned on. And I said, man, what if I actually turn this into a real business, right? Because now these young people that are producing this stuff need money, right? They don't need pizza parties and all the stuff that we were doing from like they needed money, right? Like they're like, yeah, that's cool and all, but I need money. So that's when I took it out on the road, man. And I said, I'm gonna turn it into a real business. I started working with some of the young people that had graduated, but didn't really know what they were doing next. And I was like, hey, I'm starting a company, come along with me, learn this skill set. We'll go land some opportunities. And we landed some state contracts, and we landed some with the county. We landed some with the Department of Education. We landed some started landing corporate entities. I mean, it just was like this, it started just to roll, right? And people saw it, vision. So that's kind of how it happened.
Shout out to HSRA, man. They are doing some really, really creative educational programming. It's an alternative school, ain't it?
So it's really what High School for Recording Arts is a charter school, but what they really focus in on is the fact that we want the young people that are behind in credits, right? Or previously had a run-in with maybe law and now they're back out here on probation. They're trying to figure the next step out. But what ended up happening is because they focused in on that, you had the dopest young people in the city. And then you started to have people come from the suburbs. They're like, yo, I want to go to this school because they kind of, it's just a dope vibe. So when you walk through there, sometimes you're like, all right, like I expect those people to be here, but like, this is interesting how all of these people from these different places are working together around this common core love of music. So it's an interesting place, man.
Crazy. Might be the closest thing we got to an HBCU out there, man.
Right. Seriously though, man. Hey, it's saving lives every day, man. That school, I still go over there and just like try to find the next hottest video dude or the next photographer that's coming out. Like they're all there. It's like a gold mine. So
that's what's up, man. It's real cool. It's real cool. So that's super dope. You're like in this academic institution, you're building this program, you come with the idea to develop a business that turns into Youthlands 360. And now, bro, you off to the races. You said 5-6 years in the game now?
So 6 years, 6.5 really, but you know, I have to say it's been a lifetime though, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like I just pulled together all the things that I'd really been believing in, giving back, working with youth, telling stories, doing video production, like all those things came together. But 6 years on paper, 6.5, somewhere around there. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you look back, like on your professional life, your career,
Yeah.
is there an experience that you would say you're most grateful for, like, or something that you would say like was the most accelerating experience for you?
Yeah, I would say there's a couple of things, right? Like I didn't have a lot of success when I was young, right, with school and education. And so I kind of navigated the world trying to figure out like what I was supposed to do. And so now sitting on this side of it, I really have so much energy because I'm like, man, I graduated with a 1.6 GPA. I didn't have any plans for what I wanted to do. I got a back door into college. Like I was able to enter in because I was kind of like, I used my people skills to get into school, And then like looking back now, I'm like, man, like I sit in conference rooms with CEOs and people and they're like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, okay, I wish they would have said that in school, you know what I mean? And so it's a driving force for me because like I'm in these places and spaces where I was like, you just never thought you would be. As a motivating factor, but the thing that really I say propels me forward is the round tables that I build. And by round tables, I mean like the King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Tables, if you follow that whole thing, right? It's like you can be a boss or whatever and CEO or whatever title you have, but till you come back to that round table, that's where everybody's even. So like I take it real seriously when I take myself off this CEO pedestal that everybody wants the title to. And I'm like, what do y'all want to do? Like, how do we move this thing forward? Like, I really trust y'all. Like, because I know, like, I started this because of what I learned, but I know now that I'm getting older in age, I'm like, well, how do y'all want to move this forward, right? Yeah. So I build really strong round tables, both in my organization and outside of my organization with chat groups of other business CEOs or other people that are, working on stuff. I mean, I got a chat group with like my pastor and other people that, I believe in regards to like what they're trying to build for youth. And so like, I might have my organization, but I have like, I feel like I'm on 5 different other companies, right? Because we're constantly sharing information about stuff and how to get through stuff. And I think today I got a text, man. I got a text from D'Angelo Sminkterson of NAO Partners, right? Yeah. And it was just a simple question of what are the biggest challenges that you feel like you're going to face in 2023? How do you get in front of it? Or something like that. It was like, and so then like, man, there's like 500 responses from the people in this chat group are like, man, I'm focused on this. I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try, so like that, reading that knowledge and having that understanding from other people that are going through the same thing, driving force, man. Like that's it. Like, can we share those information so we could dodge those speed bumps and potholes along this journey? And I think that's so special to me that I have those roundtable networks of people that were willing to bounce stuff off of.
That's heavy, bro. Like, so what comes to mind for me is that I've had so many conversations, especially with folks who are like just taking their first steps into leadership. Mm-hmm. And there's a big hunger and thirst for opportunities to have a seat at the table. And right. I think, a lot of us miss the opportunity to build our own tables because we're seeking access to different tables. Yeah. What created the mindset for you to like start putting your course together? Like, how you come up with it?
Oh man. As far as the round tables that we built, it wasn't even my brilliance, man. It was, I was alone on the journey for a long time, right? Like I'm trying to do something. I'm going down this road, and this is why I go back to like I listen to the people in my organization, young people. Don't matter where you're from. Like you could have just stepped into the organization yesterday. If you're bringing some knowledge base to the organization, I'm listening. So we were on this shoot, like year 2 of business. And one of the young people I know bumped into Mondo Davison, who was like this guy that you had this like tech shirt guy on, you know what I'm saying? Not somebody I would probably walk up and talk to. And they were like, man, you need to meet this dude. So cool. Introduced me to him. And then like just that one introduction opened up a whole world of people that I had no contact with. He's like, man, come to this event. You should do this. And like, when I track back all of the steps to like every contract, every relationship, everything, I can literally go back and be like, it was this event dude told me to go to, or it was this opportunity, or it's this person that they wanted me to meet. So I just take those relationships, you know, they're so important, but listening to those round tables, like, and the young people around me opened up other round tables. And that's what was amazing was right away, it's like, there was this like mutual agreement of, okay, this is what you're trying to accomplish. Here's what I'm trying to accomplish. Here's some other people trying to accomplish the same thing. Next thing you know, I mean, right now I'm sitting in our brand new office space in downtown St. Paul on the 12th floor of a high-end office building where me and D'Angelo share the space, but we also now have Formula architecture firms in here. We got like 6 other Black businesses in here, and we got 11,000 square feet where it looks like a little mini Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Like you walk in, that's all based off of relationship to relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like to the point to where now we're in a space where we basically got our own private co-worker space where all Black companies in here. And that's just like unheard of in the Twin Cities. And so, but those are all circles, right? And it's that same concept of like, I want to do business, but I need to be around other people because that's what drives you. And like, that's why I'm going to so many Christmas parties, man. It's like everybody got a Christmas party I got to go to because they all on the floor. But it's just, man, it really is that network, relationships. It's the things that when you're just trying to figure it out and you can walk over to somebody's desk and be like, man, you ever did a contract with the county and they're asking me for this thing. Oh yeah, man, here's where you got to go get the thing here, take that, send that over. It's whatever. And it's like to be able to have that person be in the same space as me and I can walk from my desk over and save me 8 hours of, pulling my hair out, trying to figure out something on the contract. Like, man, invaluable. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy. But when you move in spaces where, man, I call it walking with giants, where like just the people that you move with are all people who are inspirational, who just people, the community has a ton of reverence for. How do you set yourself up to be able to take up space in environments like that, man? Like, how do you get in that mindset?
Oh, it took me a while. I used to say sorry a lot. I remember somebody said, man, stop saying sorry. Like, and I'd be like, man, I'm sorry. I don't mean to say sorry. It took me a long time, right? But it was like the retooling of my mind, right? That was an entrepreneur that was around here telling me, man, stop saying sorry for everything. You know what I'm saying, man? Don't worry about that. I remember the Knight Foundation, that's from here locally by Jai Winston and Fung O'Neill. Here in the Twin Cities, like they have a bigger organization out in Miami. It's just huge, right? Like they give a ton of money out in Miami and they have a small division here in the Twin Cities. I remember they said, hey, you should come down to Miami and learn like what we're doing in community down there and how business is being built and all the VC capital stuff that was flying around at the time and learn what they're doing and bring it back here to the Twin Cities. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So they took us down there for like, I don't know, it's like 3 days, everything was paid for. Like they took us around. We got to meet all these other entrepreneurs in Miami. And the whole time man, thank you, man. Thank you for bringing me here. Thank you. Right. And like finally dude was like, hey man, stop. Like you're supposed to be here, right? Like we're actually benefited because you're here and you're the one that's going to help bring some of this stuff back to the Twin Cities. And I had to take a moment because that being at the table thing and being amongst giants, like for a long time, I was just so like, oh man, I'm just so lucky to be here. And then I had to really reset my mind to be like, no, I'm supposed to be here. This is, I am good enough to be at this table. I am creating my own table, right? Like these are the different ways I had to retool my mind because I was just so like, I don't know, I just was coming from a world where it was like, I never thought I'd be here. Or, man, I'm here and all these smart people, why am I here? And I just had to reset my mind to be like, okay, no, you're supposed to be here. You are what you said, giant. Even when you said that, like amongst giants, I was like, I don't know if I'm amongst giants, but no, I am, right? Like there is a lot of people in these circles that, I mean, one phone call and it can change the course of a lot of stuff. And I'm giving a lot of advice and I'm just very careful to say, like, okay, I know I'm supposed to be here. And that's just a reset of the mind, man. And I work with young people on that all the time, right? Because I see the same thing when we go and we're meeting with like the CEO of Winnebago Industries, right? And we're like sitting across from them with a video camera on them. And you got young people that are interviewing them. And we get to change the narrative on the conversation and what questions we ask, how it's received, right? For a CEO that runs a major company that it has 6 other companies under it all around the nation. And we're the ones in the room. And so like a lot of times the retooling of the mind is like, hey, you're supposed to be here, right? Like you're supposed to be here with the CEO. They're using our services to, they're paying us. So like, you don't have to say like, oh, I'm sorry. And, all that stuff. It's like, no. And so the funniest thing is when that plays out and it's like, I see like a 19-year-old young lady sitting there interviewing the CEO and she's like, fix your tie. Here's how I want you to say that again. And you got the CEO like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll say that again. I like that. Yeah, and I'm sitting here watching and I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. Like, the confidence that comes through that, that situation and like who they are and why they're supposed to be there matters so much,
Yeah,
so
man, that's crazy. You put folks in a position to be the authority in the space.
Man,
it makes a world of difference.
World of difference,
man. I remember the first time I got a chance to go to a Timberwolves game,
right?
And sit in one of the suites, one of the office suites.
Yeah.
One of my guys hit me up. We came through, and as soon as I walked in, I had the camera out. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Look at the food. I know, right? I was hyped, bro.
It's crazy, right?
My guy pulled me to the side. He's like, hey, man.
Act like you've been here before, bro. You can't be here. Hey, that's real, man.
I remember I ran into James Burrows.
Yeah.
He stopped me and he was like, nah, don't worry about pictures, man. You'll be back.
Yeah. Yeah.
That did it. Like that did it for me. I was like, ooh.
Man, man, I'll tell you what, man, shout out James, man. Early in my grind, James was the one that put me in so many, I would just say positions, right? Like I met him because he was speaking about, it was the African American Leadership Forum event. And I remember I didn't want to get up that morning because I went to the club that night and it was like a 7 a.m. thing. I'm like, who does stuff at like 7:30 a.m., right? And I was like, nah, I get back up. So I had like 2 hours of sleep. I go to the event. James is on stage in like some colorful outfit talking about going golfing and stuff after this and all that. I'm like, man, who is this dude, right? So I walked up to him. I said, hey, would you ever consider, connecting with some young people and taking us golfing? Because it's not something that we do. And he was like, man, yeah, I'd love to do that. So we exchanged information and I told him about my company. And I didn't hear anything, right? I didn't hear anything from him. I didn't reach out to him. I was kind of just like, all right, it just kind of fell by the wayside. About 3 months later, he hits me up. And this is exactly what he tells me because I had my business card was in a circle. So I was trying to make a unique business card. So it was like a circle. He was like, man, I've been using this as a coaster on my desk, right? And he was like, yo, we had a camera dude supposed to film some stuff for the governor, fell through. He was like, can y'all be here today? And it's like, man, yeah, all right, we're here. And that was our beginning of our relationship. But like, man, every single time I would talk to somebody, be like, James told me about you. James told me about you. James told me. And so like, but like would never take no, what is it called? Like he didn't want any, what is it called, man? He didn't want any clout for it. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want, he didn't need that. It was like the silent dude who just connected you to people, but they didn't need like you to say like, man, if it wasn't for James, you know what I'm saying? Like he never wanted that. And it was just amazing to me. You know what I mean? Like somebody he just seen good brothers doing something. He was like, all right, I got you. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah,
and we still never been golfing. That's the crazy part. We never went golfing, and that's the
hey, call him on that. Call him on that move.
That's what's so crazy. So
it's funny. What's wild is that, you know, what I see is you and brothers like D'Angelo's, Mondo, like y'all doing a lot of the same, man, making those connections and helping people become aware of one another. And it's just about staying in the path of good people. Like that stuff is powerful, bro. And the fact that, you know what I'm saying, you could be somebody who really leads the charge in a way, or helps to be a resource for shifting the culture in that direction.
Yeah.
Like there's no substitute, bro. So keep doing that.
That's the part of life that I'm loving right now. It's like trying to find ways to plug everybody else in. It only does you so much better, right? Like if you're the person that's plugging other people, it comes back full circle because I don't know how to explain it, but like when you're the person that's like, hey, you should meet this person and they do business, like you're always remembered as the person that was, you know, the person that connected them. And so like it's like this thing that just permeates like, I'm gonna connect you now, right? So I've had my best connections from connecting other people, and then like watching D'Angelo's grow his company from 2 to 6 to 10 to like I think they got like 22 people over there now. And I'm sitting here like, bro, how do you pay everybody every month? Like, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, he's just constantly like, oh, if I get $1, I'm gonna find somebody else in the community, right? And like I look over there sometimes, I'm like, bro, you built a real like company, you know what I'm saying? Like I look up to that, but just watching those moves, those chessboard pieces that he's placing, you know, in different places, and I'm just like, man, it's empowering, you know.
So yes, and I think for the truth is the truth for me. It's a truth for a lot of people. We look at youth lens the same way. Like,
man, I appreciate that.
The scale of impact that you're able to have through this business, and like some of the videos that come out of y'all's team, I'm like, bro, wait, they made that? Like, it's crazy, man. Like, y'all are really.
Here's a little secret. They don't let me touch equipment no more, man. That's the problem. I ain't touched a camera in 2 years, bro. Like, if I touched the camera, it was because I was grabbing it to move it to somewhere else. But like, I be looking at the cameras now. I be like, hey man, how you turn the volume up on this thing, man? Like, it's that bad, right? And that's another part of business when it's like you learn to be like, I'm in a different phase of this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I don't understand this piece no more, even though that's where I built it from. Like, I gotta let go. You know what I mean? That's y'all, man. Y'all. So any videos you see, no, I'm not editing nothing. I'm not doing nothing. I'm just trusting that they're gonna put it together in a way that makes sense. But I mean, it's been a journey. I miss that sometimes. But my new thing, you're gonna think I'm crazy. The new thing that I'm doing is I'm trying to remove myself as the CEO of the company. And so I hired a COO, Norman Westbury III, who was a young cat that was just out here doing party promotion and stuff. But I saw the brilliance, that same brilliance that I was like, oh, okay, he got it. And he came in, man, he's running my company. He's understanding the ins and outs of the company. And like, he'll be the CEO. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm actually a better salesperson for the company. And so like I had to, like, I think people want that CEO title and you really research what you're supposed to be doing. I'm not good at any of that. Like, I'm a great spokesperson for the company, I'm a great salesperson for the company. I'm the owner, you know what I'm saying? But like CEO, like understand the inner workings and how everything connects. And like, man, he's getting like all of that stuff put together, man. Like it's just a blessing to be able to understand like, okay, how do I put somebody else in a position that actually drives us forward instead of me having to hog this title that I think is just because it's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. There's a different level of wisdom in that I think a lot of people probably overlook. And I think a lot of it is going to be ego, right? It's my company, right? I built it. It's my idea. I gotta be CEO. But when you look at the skill set, like, I might as well let somebody who's super dope handle this.
If that's your gift, those are your skill sets, like, man, you can have all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me go to the networking events and drive revenue. I'll you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I like to do. But man, me sitting in front of a computer typing up forms that we got to use, now I'm straight.
Yeah.
So.
Nah, that's what's up, man. That's what's up, man. Okay. All right. So we getting some exclusive insights in here. I appreciate it. But it's good stuff, man. Listen, but one of the reasons I really started the Pancakes from Scratch podcast was to really get into some conversations about this idea of overcoming challenges to become something, right?
Right.
Putting the pieces together to become something great. But the idea was sparked because my parents really love making pancakes from scratch with my kids. And first of all, parents love, people love their grandkids more than their kids. That's another story. We'll get into that later.
I truly believe that.
Because, I used to tell my mom, I used to want French toast all the time, and they act like they ain't never had time. But all of a sudden, grandkids come around, they get pancakes from scratch. But anyway, there's something to be said about that intersection between food and culture and community and the idea of becoming who we are, right? Because it's more than just, having food that tastes good. Like, there's a whole experience that comes with the preparation of the meal, the sharing time and space together, and breaking bread. Like, there's a whole thing there, and it does something to shape who we become in the future. So I think there's some power in that, man. But all that to lead to the question of, what was your favorite food growing up, man?
Oh, okay, we're getting off into this. Coming up.
Let's get into it.
So this is gonna be bad, but man, this is when I was young, I used to love the McDonald's McRib. It's like, I would wait for the McDonald's McRib to come around, right? I'd be like, man, I can't wait till the McRib come back around. So that was terrible though. Like, if I ate one now, I'd be like, what was I thinking? But man, my grandfather had this dish. He's from Jamaica, and they did this like beans and rice dish. And then my dad, on my dad's side of the family, like that's the Puerto Rican side, they would do a similar dish, but it was completely different. Like, they would mash down the paste. Like, they would start with so many vegetables and mash it all down into a paste. And then the paste would go into the rice. And I don't even know how to explain all the different flavors that was in there. But like, when you see the prep from where they started to what they mashed down, like that was crazy, man. It was one of those things where it was just like, love was in the dish, right? In both of those dishes, both of those beans and rice dishes, there was love in there. But a third, man, it just hit me, promise you, 2 days ago. That's why it's crazy you're talking about this. My mom came over to the house to cook, make Christmas cookies, like the stenciled one. You ever seen those? Like stencil the snowman and the star and, the Christmas tree. But like the way that they did that, and then they put that paste on there, like whatever that cream frosting is. Yep. That led all the way back to my childhood when I used to go over to my grandmother's house around the holidays, and they would have that tin, and you would open it up, and those cookies would be in there, right? And so it was interesting because what happened was my mom came over to cook them, and then like I realized it just brought me way, way back. And she didn't even ask me. She's like, I'm coming to make some cookies with your daughter. I'm like, okay, cool. So she came over and did. My daughter's 8. But what happened was it just connected all those dots of what you're talking about with the pancakes from scratch, because I was like, man, my mom is passing down the tradition of this cookie making on the holidays to my daughter, to the point where my daughter is like, she act like she could just make these cookies on her own at 8. So it's just like, it just hit me in a different way, man. Much like what you're talking about with the pancakes from scratch. So it was one of those moments,
I love it, man. There's so much power in that, bro. Like,
yeah.
She might grow up and say cookies is her favorite food. You never know.
Yeah, right.
But it's like the way those moments shape culture, right? And like, And today, the value that you hold for family, right? And the way that family impacts your well-being. Like, man, I'm getting through the winter by spending time with people. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
maybe if you ain't grow up with the rice and peas like you did, you might have a totally different set of values. There's something there, man, for real.
It sounds crazy, right? But the thing is, family, and one of the biggest challenges, like we started this conversation off talking about entrepreneurship, talking about the holidays, talking about us, and the key element in all that is family, right? Like you don't have, and family beyond blood, right? Like if you don't have a table to sit at with somebody and enjoy the holidays, the hard times, go through that is a key element that we're missing. And when we start to look at, you could look at all the statistics around crime and suicide and all that, all stems back to like, can you come back to a table where someone cares about you? And so recently in my house, man, I've been trying to get the kids to stop feeling like they got to eat at the island, right? And I'm trying to get them back to the table with the phones put down and everything, but I caused that, right? Because being an entrepreneur, I'm like, hey, here goes some oatmeal. Use your phone. I'm on a phone call. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I caused that division in my family to where they sit at this island all the time. It's like, you can tell them dinner's at the table. They sit at the island. Like, can I just eat at the island? Like, so you got to, like, I got to rework that. You know what I mean? And that's a family challenge that I got to get through because technology's changed everything. The TV's always on. The phone's always on. And so, like, if I had to be real, like, that table element is missing. And I just got to get back to that, we all got to get back to that, being present in the moment. So.
No, I'm with you, man. 100%. 100%. That's good stuff, bro. I appreciate you taking the time, man. This has been a super powerful conversation. I think people will take a lot away from it. But before we wrap up, man, any final thoughts, last things you want to share, some advice, insight, perspective?
Yeah, I really want to honor what you're doing, right? Because I, for years, have been like, man, I should do a podcast, all this stuff, but I never did it, right? And then boom, you jump up, first year of business, you got the podcast going, you're doing your thing. And I just, man, I'm telling you, like, I see big things. And I remember when you were like, we don't have a lot of people join live and, you'll have people come, and they'll view this later and on this stuff. But what I want you to know is like, I want to remember this moment here, right? When it's like, I think I'm number 2 person on here. And I just can't wait for the exciting, like what you're going to do next. And man, everything you're doing with your business. And I remember you taking that step out. And I just want to honor that because I heard you say today that it's something about family as soon as we jumped on. And what you did was buy back some time to be with your family, man. And I really just honor what you're doing, and I love what you're doing, and man, just keep going. That's really all I have left to share because I'm like, I'm smiling inside, man, when I'm watching you do this. So appreciate you having me on here.
I love it, man. I appreciate it, bro. It's definitely a labor of love, as challenging as it is. You know what I'm saying? You told the story of like, yeah, back in year 1 and 2. I'm still in year 1 and 2, brother.
Yeah. That's why I told the story.
I'm living that story, bro.
Man, listen, wait till you start hiring like staff member 2, 3. You know what I'm saying? You got a nice jet black beard right now. Wait till you start getting these grades coming in, man. It's on the way. Yeah, you gonna point to each grade. You're gonna be like, that was that one experience. That was that one experience. You ain't got no grades yet, baby.
They on the way. It's a real thing. They on the way. I can believe it.
Man.
Here's what's up, man. I appreciate you. Hey, if people want to connect with you, how do they find you? How do they link up?
So this is interesting. So it's always been at Youth Lens 360. So YOUTHLENS 360. So that's my company, but I've just really, here's another listener to my roundtable thing. The young people have just started to say, like, you got to build your own brand. And so they're starting to build my brand around public speaking. And so I'm on IG at Dario Otero, like whatever that underscore thing is. LinkedIn is probably where you find me the most. So if you find me on LinkedIn at Dario Otero on LinkedIn, I'm really adamant about staying on LinkedIn. I try to stay out of the social media drama. So I try to stay focused in on if I'm using social media, it's for a good cause.
I feel it. I feel it. Well,
Yeah.
good stuff, man. Bro, I appreciate you. Keep doing your thing, man. This is major. I'm excited for what the future holds for you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And like I said, man, hopefully we circle back in like 2 years. You bring me back on and be like, man, remember we like number 2 on here? So I appreciate it.
I got you, man. I got you. Stay blessed, bro. I'm gonna holler at you, all right?
Peace.